Hello, everyone that's planning on watching this. I know a few of you are uh, probably waiting in excitement for me to review this gun. This is my Palmetto State Armory AK-74. I don't have enough rounds through that to do really anything of a review, but I have about 1,600 rounds as a left-handed shooter through this gun. Um, what I will say about the gun is this: it's a really good gun. It's probably one of the best um, AK platform guns you can get probably in the United States, in a world where Russian AKs aren't allowed to come in anymore. This is actually a really good offering from IWI to kind of be a really good but really modernized milled AK, Galil. So what I'll say about it is this: the gun had some strange issues with the way I was running it, but I don't think it is a actual issue with the gun itself. Um, so let me go ahead and start off by saying that I did run this gun suppressed slightly, not often. I do have a K&S piston. I do have a Soundtica Chimera that I ran on it. However, as all AKs, it's kind of a weird thing to dance with using a adjustable gas system in one of them, and then also you have to deal with the fact that this gun is really heavy, and adding even more weight to the end of the gun kind of sucks. So I don't really shoot this gun suppressed all that often, if really any. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the iron sights. I didn't really use them. In fact, I never used them. I don't even know if they're zeroed. I assume that maybe IWI zeroes them out of the box. I have no idea. I used a EOTech XPS2, I believe it is. It's the version without night vision. What I'll say about it is this: it works really good on this gun. However, again, you're adding a bit more weight than many people would like in a milled gun. But I did have some issues originally running it right here, as the bottom edge of it right here acted as almost like a brass deflector and deflected brass back into the action, causing usually failures to feed. It was kind of annoying. I thought that it might have been a magazine issue. I thought that might have been a K&S adjustable piston issue. Just using it, I thought may have undergassed it. But obviously it was just my EOTech placement. And I've seen other people complain that they've had similar issues with it getting dinged up, but they've never had issues with it causing malfunctions. For me, it caused a bunch of malfunctions. Like, I couldn't even really get through a magazine without having them. The buttstock obviously comes with a cheek riser, and is pretty nice. The only thing I don't like about it is there is a little bit of play. So if you see that roll pin, that is all it is holding. That is all that is holding on the entire buttstock, and causes a little bit of movement. I don't like it necessarily because of that. It's not a big deal when you're shooting, though. It is just kind of annoying and kind of strange as to why that even is like that, because on the 5.56 version, they actually have two roll pins holding the buttstock in place. It's basically this little plate right here that you see. I don't know why they couldn't have added two on all of them, but for some reason they didn't. I don't know if that actually fixes the issue. It might, but I have no idea. I'm also running a K&S, or the K&S delete kit, whatever it's called, a plastic delete kit. I haven't shot it through in this configuration yet. I like it. It allows you to use some different magazines. I think it just looks a little bit better. But most of it was through the regular configuration of the gun, and I feel like this is really good. It's definitely acceptable. The pistol grip is really nice. No complaints there. Using the regular handguard, because finding anything RS Regulate, is a miracle in this country. And honestly, I gotta admit, I really like this handguard because it has heat shielding in there, and the heat shielding is honestly one of the best heat shields in any gun I've ever shot. I've never had it get so hot that I've had to even wear gloves, mag dumping through it. I want to get into the left-hand side charging handle now and talk about some of the other left-hand side features of this gun. The left-hand side charging handle is honestly a really good feature if you're right-handed, because it allows you to do what left-handed people have been doing for quite some time on AKs, which is use their non-dominant hand to reach back and just charge the gun. On a regular AK as a right-handed shooter, you're going to be using your non-dominant hand to either reach around or roll the gun over to charge it. As a left-hand shooter, you're doing the exact same thing. You got to usually roll the gun over or simply use your left hand to go off of the pistol grip and charge it. Personally, I prefer doing the rollover. It just seems a bit easier on the Galil, but it's definitely not near as fast as being a left-handed shooter using a regular AK. However, the left-hand side safety is really nice for both left-handers and right-handers. What I will say, though, is it's not as good as a AR-15 style safety if you're a left-handed shooter. Why? Because it is a little bit hard to use with the left hand trigger finger, because it kind of is actually impeding your hand on the gun. It feels a little bit strange because if you look, it is in line with your trigger finger on the gun. It isn't a huge deal. I don't really notice it when I'm shooting the gun. It's not that big of a deal, I would say. However, as a right-handed shooter, you're just simply using your thumb to actuate the safety. It's pretty nice both ways. I feel like an AR-15 safety is still superior. However, if you really wanted to, you could become almost just as proficient with this as on AR-15. Next, I want to get into the magazines. Magazines are a really interesting and kind of strange feature on this gun, especially with the original setup of this gun, as many people get the delete kit so that they can use a few different types of mags that they normally couldn't. I believe US Palm is one. I know X-Tech and the Tapco mags are definitely two that will not work. And most people will also mention drums. However, I'll get into drums in a little bit because that's kind of a strange topic on its own. The delete kit allows you to use, again, X-Tech mags and Tapcos. I've tried putting Tapcos in. They're a little bit strange still. They don't want to fit like a normal AK mag. It's kind of funky. I believe the front locking tab doesn't want to like lock for some reason. However, I mostly only use these Bulgarian commercial magazines. They are some of the best AK magazines I feel like you can get that are not going to be in the $40 range as a Waffle 10 mag. I also have some mag pulls. Mag pulls are really good. You get a mag pull when you buy this gun. However, it doesn't have the locking tabs and the feed lips reinforced with steel, so you kind of miss out on that. They're decent mags though, and these are really good, I feel like. I've also tried fitting a few different Bakelights, or like just two Bakelights in here, and they fit really well. One magazine I had that was kind of strange was using one of these Arsenal 5-rounders that are in a 10-round body. This one doesn't really want to fit. You can make it fit, but it's like not wanting to lock in this back tab for some reason. I have no idea. With that being said, the drum. The drum is kind of strange because it fits, but it's really, really loose. And it, again, doesn't really want to lock in the front tab for me. However, it will. I haven't tried using it. However, I don't really think I want to use it on this gun all that much because this gun is already really heavy, and I can't imagine having 75 rounds in this gun and it being anything but really, really annoying to hold. Especially if you add a suppressor, this thing is going to become very heavy. With that being said, I would personally say stick to these polymer type magazines. I've used the steel magazines in these, but however, I have some that are like really, really dinged up, and a few of them just didn't really want to run. These magazines, these Bulgarian ones, are super tight in the gun, almost no play, but just a tiny bit, because again, AK magazine play is okay. But the other magazines, the steel ones, I feel like you kind of get a mixed bag with them because some of them are obviously going to have a lot more rounds than others, and so the magazine springs might be a little bit worn on them. However, buying brand new polymer mags is definitely the way to go. With that being said, I also want to talk about the barrel and the accuracy. I mostly have only ever shot, the Tula type ammunition through this gun. Actually, I don't think I've shot any other ammo. This Red Army stuff in the white box is actually just Tula ammo that they've rebranded. It's all 122 grain. The gun shoots really well. I never really got to shoot it at any real long distances. However, this barrel is the best AK barrel, according to most people have shot this gun. I've seen really good groups. Most people say this is about 2 MOA to 3 MOA. Some people have gotten amazing groups, and it's knocked the pants off of Russian and other AKs. However, again, I have only really shot this gun mostly close ranges up to maybe 100 yards on a few occasions. But overall, this gun is really nice, and I can't complain about any of these features, except, again, I maybe might wish the charging handle was on the other side, but it's not a big deal. And you also get this really nice dust cover. Now I believe I'm going to go ahead and field strip the gun and show you some of the wear on the parts. Before that, actually, I want to say that this action is buttery smooth, no complaints whatsoever. The gun runs, shoots, and performs flawlessly when you're obviously using it right and don't have an EOTech acting as a brass deflector. But with that all being said, I want to go ahead and move on to showing you guys the internals and the wear that I really don't have on this gun. So here is the parts. I'll show you the actual gun in a little bit, but I kind of want to just talk about each of these parts a little bit first before I show you the rest of the gun. And I'll show you some wear as it relates to that. This gun is, I just want to say, in really good shape for how many rounds it's in. It's pretty remarkable, honestly, how well this gun looks. With having, again, 1,600 rounds, I mean, can you see any real wear? Does this gun really look like it's been through that amount of rounds? I personally don't think so. God, this bolt, for example, looks really good. There's a little bit of wear right there, maybe, or more or less rubbing from the bullets. But look at that tail. That is, there's not even finish wear on it. Can you really get any better than that in terms of just how the gun looks? So I want to go ahead and talk about the K&S piston actually real quick first. So as you see, it's held by a roll pin. Awesomely enough, the regular gas piston on this is held in by a very similar but a little bit larger roll pin. And it is really easy to take this out. In fact, from what I've seen of other AKs, Arsenals and so on, this is probably the easiest gun to install the K&S piston in. So keep that in mind, because I've changed this out twice, and all it takes is a little punch and a hammer, and you're good to go. So what I want to say about this real quick is, really good snug fit, doesn't have any real play. It indexes this little tongue into a corresponding groove into the back of the gas tube. One thing I really want to talk about, because this is really strange to me, I've seen some people ask about it. I've personally asked about it. Why does this have a buffer on it? Why does there need to be a buffer on this? When you often see buffers on AKs, again, a lot of times, at least I personally think of IO rifles. And IO is not someone you want to emulate in terms of using one of these buffers. However, what I think is happening here is I've talked to a few people who've had double my rounds, so about 3,000 rounds to their gun. They have no wear on this at all, and there is no wear on this for me. So that leads me to think two things are possible. By the time that this gets to its end of travel, it barely touches it. That's a possibility. I don't personally know. Or it could be that this is just there in case it goes all the way back into it. Because I think what is happening is that the tail of the bolt carry goes into this little hole right here. So I don't think it's actually impacting it really all that hard. I don't know. I don't know why this is on there. As I said, I'll show you the inside of the gun a little bit. And again, the reason why IO has it is because the rails aren't long enough. They make their rails too short, and so that stops it from skipping the rails. However, IO guns, from what I've seen, beat the living hell out of their buffers, and usually need to be replaced within 1,000 rounds or more. And again, I've seen people who are using this and have no issues whatsoever with it. So I don't know what the purpose of that is, but it seems to not be a big issue. And then it has this little back piece to act as like a seal, because the rest of the gun's sealed. But again, these parts look really good. And interesting enough, it does have a exposed extractor, kind of like on an AK-74, AK-103, but it's thick-stemmed. Is it spring-loaded? Yeah, it's spring-loaded, kind of like Arsenal. Looks exactly like an Arsenal. You can see a little bit of wear right there, but man, does this look really, really good. I have no complaints whatsoever. And this is dirty, too. I haven't cleaned this. It looks really good. There's, like, no wear on these. So that is an absolute win so far. Because I have, you know, other AKs like my Arsenal and my Palmetto State that do show some wear, but obviously nothing major, but just shows, usually just shows some finish wear. But this has like almost no type of wear whatsoever, and that's absolutely awesome. It is a huge win for IWI. Returning to the same theme on the actual receiver, we can see that I really don't see any wear on this whatsoever. This looks really good. The entire gun looks awesome on the inside. The thing I actually want to talk about as well is the trigger. I didn't mention this before, but obviously as it's right here, it's a pretty good time to talk about it. It seems to be a pretty good hardness level that they've matched it, obviously, toward the tail. But the trigger is pretty decent. It's like a two-stage. They call it their marksman trigger. You know, like they used in their Galil marksman rifles. It works pretty good. Some people have changed out for ALG, but I've heard that changing it out for an ALG is a huge pain. But you can, you know, change it out if you want to, like for example with a Tapco or a rack or anything like that. Personally, I'm just going to keep the same trigger in. I don't usually change AK triggers, because honestly, AK triggers usually aren't that bad. But again, this gun looks really good. And again, I think doesn't make sense to me is obviously the milled, the rails actually connect to the locking recesses, or locking lugs, I guess you could say. The locking tabs, or whatever you want to call them, on the trunnion, as what would be the front trunnion. But again, I don't think that the length of the rails is what causes any of the issues. I've compared this, and I think it's about the same length as any other AK. So again, I don't think that if you are worried about the buffer, that you have to be worried about the buffer. It doesn't seem like it even matters. Because at first, again, I was pretty worried about it. Now, one thing I do want to talk about real quick is when you go to actually adjust the piston, one thing I found is that when you have the gas tube on, all it connects into is basically this dovetail right here, and then it obviously connects onto the tongue on the dust cover. So what I'll say is this: make sure that if you're not putting the dust cover back on to go to adjusting the piston, trying to find out your correct tunement for it, hold on to it like this. Just push it forward, because again, it'll want to work itself undone, because all it is it's just put into these little dovetail grooves. So the gun really lends itself to being, again, probably the ultimate AK. It's really nice. Again, it's a highly modernized AK. It's a Galil. Really accurate gun. You really can't go wrong with this gun. And I've had some strange things happen with it, but honestly, you really, really can't complain. Now, what I'll say is this: the gun is a bit pricey. It's about the same. Well, it's about the same price as if you're getting an Arsenal milled SAM 7. About 1,800, I believe. These have gone up though. I got this like July or so, during the pandemic, and Classic Firearms actually had this in stock, and I bought one. I was like, there's no way that I found one in stock, at Classic of all places, but they had them. They're a little bit hard to find. I think what might be harder to find right now is the 545. But I think that maybe the 545 is kind of stealing the thunder of this gun. And I don't know if they're even really making them right now, to, be sold. Because I think they might be focusing on 545, although they've probably made all the 545s right now. So again, try to look for one of these. If you really want one, try to go for about 1,800. That's honestly the best price point. I wouldn't really want to pay over 2,000 for this, because again, you're kind of getting into like really weird territory with that. If that's what the price goes for though now, I guess you're gonna have to pay what you're gonna have to pay if you want the gun. The only thing I can say though is that when you get to modding the gun though, again, you have to factor this into the price of the actual gun, is that when you get to modding it, this stuff costs a lot of money. And if the gun itself is also hard to find, you better believe that this KNS delete, the KNS piston, and like RS Regulate handguards are like really hard to find right now. And then you also have to find the right version. For example, the version that you would need for this gun takes 2 screws. So when you go to the RS Regulate place, you have to find out which one you need. Make sure you get the right one, obviously. So yeah, I mean, it's a really good gun. Modding it is a little bit expensive and a little bit hard. But again, it's a really good AK. It weighs a lot. It's a little bit weird to suppress. I don't shoot it suppressed that often, and I wouldn't recommend really shooting it suppressed all that much. It's really good as a unsuppressed AK. And obviously it's really good as if you want a Galil. I mean, you get to say that you have a Galil, and that's honestly one of the coolest things about this. So if you have any questions, comments, feel free to comment, like, subscribe if you want to. I'm planning on doing a Palmetto State Armory AK-74 review. Currently, I'm going to be probably doing that at about 1,000 rounds, and right now I'm mostly using this hollow sun on it, but I'm in the process of getting a Russian 1P63 reflex style sight that's going through the Russian customs and crap for a while, so who knows when that'll come, but I kind of also want to review that as well. So stay tuned for that eventually coming out. Kind of want to get this done just to share my personal experience with it, and also kind of do as a little test about how to actually make one of these types of reviews. So if you like what you saw, please hit like, subscribe, comment. Have any questions, please feel free to ask them if I left out anything. So yeah, take care, guys.